The customary noises of children playing were absent from the odd silence that pervaded the Duggar household. Intersecting discourses, or Michelle's kind voice teaching the younger ones. The media had already taken an interest in the case and was analyzing every facet of their life, even though the specifics of Jim Bob Duggar's arrest were still unclear. Michelle sat in the living room, looking pale and with large bags under her eyes, which were signs of sleep deprivation. The media hysteria following her husband's arrest and her ongoing concerns about the future weighed heavily on her. They couldn't just pray their way out of this issue if Jessa, who wasn't usually strong, stood next to the window, crossed her arms tightly, and paced the room. The man who started their family's business, their father, now faced the possibility of going to jail. Finally, Jessica said sternly, "We need to band together, the media won't stop." John David gazed across the long driveway, seeing the media vehicles starting to pull up. He was aware that this was just the start. John David gritted his teeth and stepped back from the window, agreeing that we need legal advice. We have to know exactly what Dad is dealing with before we do anything else. Even when Michelle did speak, it was hardly audible. She buried her face in her hands and prayed as her voice broke, adding, "I never thought we'd have to deal with this." David reasoned that John's faith in Jesus would not suffice on their own. Greetings, companions. Greetings from VVE. Kindly click like on this video. Jill Duggar sat in a dark television studio across the nation, getting ready for an interview that would alter the course of history. She had avoided the Duggar name and tried to live a life apart from her family for years. But now, as the talk show presenter pushed forward, her past was abruptly nibbling at her heels. It has been quite difficult. For years, I've been working through my own experiences to get over my upbringing, but this is something else entirely. Jill, how do you feel about the allegations made against your father right now? She paused, then answered. How do you feel about the host nodding? People's perceptions of the Duggar family will change as a result of what has transpired. Jill let out a slow breath. For a long time, we were portrayed as this ideal, devout family, but there is much more going on behind the scenes. Being honest and responsible is essential going forward. The Duggar family's carefully constructed image of faith and family values, which had allowed them to build an empire, was now disintegrating, as she shockingly revealed to the audience. Tensions were so high at the Duggar house in Arkansas that no one knew what to say at the family get-together. While the smaller children sat quietly, they saw the obvious anxiety in the room and looked back and forth between their older siblings. In a scarcely heard voice, Joseph finally raised his voice to ask a serious question on the family's financial status. Joan crossed her arms and stated, "We should consider becoming autonomous. Businesses that rely on the family name are no longer viable," Jinger said, adding that we must think about our own destiny. Over the years, the family name has evolved. Given that Michelle's voice wavered, "Let's pray and seek the will of the Lord," it became evident that something had changed as she talked. Their father had always been a rock to the Duggar children, but now that he was gone, everything was falling apart. More media outlets descended on their house over the course of the next 3 days, uncovering long-standing problems and previous family secrets. As a result of the heightened public attention, several of the older children started planning to further isolate themselves. Despite David's best efforts to normalize things, John and Jessa had to deal with the unheard-of prospect of being alone for the first time in their lives when the Duggar enterprise went down. Dot's most recent book, People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Illusional Expectations, is being promoted by alumni. The Duggars have long been renowned for their big family, rigorous religious beliefs, and well-maintained public persona. However, the patriarch of the once respected family, Jim Bob Duggar, has been jailed in a startling turn of events. Their loyal fan base and close-knit community have been rocked by the news. Many people are wondering what the future holds for the Duggar dynasty, as Michelle Duggar, the unwavering matriarch, is apparently dealing with emotional and mental anguish. Jim Bob's arrest was unexpected, but not wholly shocking to those who have followed the Duggar family scandals over the years, according to sources close to the family. Although the allegations are still under wraps, there are suggestions that they entail fraud, financial misbehavior, or perhaps obstruction of justice in connection with previous family scandals. According to reports, early in the morning, police served a warrant for Jim Bob's arrest at the Duggar property in Tontitown, Arkansas. According to witnesses, Michelle and a few of their kids watched in startled silence as police officers escorted him out of the enormous family house in handcuffs. After her husband's incarceration, Michelle Duggar, the family's placid, always smiling pillar, is reportedly experiencing mental anguish. According to friends and close family, she has been inconsolable, spending days cooped up in her bedroom, refusing to eat, sleep, or talk to anybody. According to a family member, Michelle never envisioned her life without Jim Bob at its helm, and his abrupt decline has left her utterly lost. According to an insider, she was brought up to believe that a wife must always submit to her husband and that he is the leader of the home. She doesn't know how to function without Jim Bob. According to reports, Michelle has been depending a lot on Johannah Duggar, the oldest daughter who is still living at home, to look after the younger kids as she deals with this terrible loss. But there are worries that Michelle's mental health is fast declining, and some people think she could need professional help soon. Since the news surfaced, Jinger Vuolo, who has long separated herself from the family's rigid norms, has been quiet on social media. Before making any public remarks, she and her husband, Jeremy, are reportedly adopting a wait-and-see strategy. Some people think Jinger anticipated this and has been emotionally bracing herself for the consequences for a long time. Even Jessa Seewald, one of Jim Bob's most outspoken supporters, has remained conspicuously silent on the matter. According to insiders, Jessa is seeking direction from her husband, Ben, as she struggles to reconcile her religion with the facts of what is occurring. Usually seen as the family's second in command, Johannah is now taking up the majority of the duties at the Duggar residence. According to reports, she is caring for Michelle and the younger siblings while also juggling the stress of perhaps taking over as the household's leader. Although Johannah has always been the obedient daughter, others claim that the abrupt change in the dynamics of the family has left her feeling worn out and stressed. According to rumors, Joanna Forsyth and her husband, Austin, have adopted a more hard position and are reportedly avoiding the family's increasing strife. According to reports, Austin, who has never quite agreed with Jim Bob's strong supervision, urged Joy that they must first safeguard their own family. Some people are suggesting that Jim Bob's arrest may be related to his lengthy history of concealing issues, such as the troubled background of his oldest son, Josh Duggar. Josh was reported to have had years of protection from his father and is presently serving a long jail term for possessing child abuse materials. Could ongoing inquiries regarding Jim Bob's involvement in concealing previous crimes be the cause of his demise? Jim Bob may have obstructed justice or concealed evidence in a last-ditch effort to rescue his son, according to several legal experts. Jim Bob may soon be facing even more severe charges if these hypotheses are correct. What does Michelle's mental instability and Jim Bob's legal issues imply for the Duggar brand? Jim Bob spent years methodically crafting the family's image via speaking appearances, book sales, and television partnerships. Their financial future is unclear, however, without him leading the charge. Numerous Duggar-owned companies, such as real estate endeavors and rental properties, are now the subject of intensive examination, and some analysts predict that a total financial collapse may be on the horizon. It seems that the family's power has suffered a damage from which it may never fully recover, despite the efforts of the surviving Duggar children who still follow their father's beliefs to preserve their public persona. The Duggar family is at a turning point as Michelle battles her new reality and Jim Bob faces possible jail time. Will Michelle look for expert assistance? According to some sources, Michelle's immediate family members could step in and advise her to withdraw from the spotlight for her own mental health. Will Johannah be able to escape at last? Could Johannah decide to take charge of her own life and leave the Duggar compound now that the family is in disarray? Will further truth be revealed by Jim Bob's arrest? What more skeletons may be found if Jim Bob was implicated in fraud, obstruction, or financial crimes? Will the children of the Duggar family turn against their father? Will some of the kids openly disassociate themselves from Jim Bob if more details become available? The Duggars were praised for years as a model Christian family, but with Michelle on the edge of a breakdown and Jim Bob in jail, their once unwavering reputation could be ending. One thing is evident as the family tries to save their reputation. This is a reckoning that has been coming for years. As the Duggar Empire teeters on the brink of collapse, the whole world will be eagerly watching.